Good morning and welcome to our Pacific Morning Show. Happy Monday, happy 8 a.m. We hope you are doing really well as you prepare to go to school, work, wherever that may be. Thank you for tuning in. Today's episode, we're really excited because we have an awesome special guest and his name is Esta. He is a creative videographer doing some amazing things in the industry and traveling to some amazing places as well. We also have our host here.
Oh, sorry.
This is the second time. This is not going to be cut. This is the second time he's interrupted in my intro. But we're going to keep going. Thank you for that. I understand you were trying to get that timing right, but all good. That's all right.
I'm just excited.
Yeah. And we're here with our team as usual, Therese and also Esau. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through. Esther, how are you today?
Feeling a little bit nervous, but
Yeah?
cool to talk about some cool subjects.
How's your week been?
Pretty busy, so looking forward to a lot coming up next week. So
Yeah.
just trying to chill this weekend and then ready for the chaos next week. Yeah.
Chaos next week. That's a good way to put it. How are you, Therese?
Good. Just been trying to work and figure things out. Same as everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been good. Getting through it.
Yep,
Alive.
I'm alive. Grateful. This microphone smells like a microphone.
Nah, thank you so much, team. So let's get straight into it. Our talk of the day. As usual, we talk about something that's relevant between, our Pacifica communities, and I wanted to talk about the Te Matatini funding.
Te Matatini.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yo. I know you have the numbers on that. Could you share with us this
I'm not just sitting
This
here
issue.
just texting my girlfriend. All right, guys. There's actual stuff here.
Yo.
So the government allocates $185 million to build a resilient cultural sector and support cultural sector agencies to offer their services and strengthen support for Māori arts, culture, and heritage. Of that 185 million, 20 million gets allocated to the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra. Creative New Zealand gets about 17 million. And the Royal New Zealand Ballet gets $8 million. Te Matatini, the Olympics of Kapahaka, received 2.9 million.
Really?
That's after an extra $1 million boost. So they were originally going to get 1.9 mil, but they got 2.9.
Wow.
Yeah. So really, Māori be out here fighting for money in their own country.
Absolutely.
And it still comes with caveats to, you've got to reach a certain target of da-da-da-da-da.
And they had higher expectations put on them as well. Like the engagement rate was higher compared to the other people that got funding. They had to reach more people, which I thought was pretty unfair. And even the posters that was hanging up at the domestic airport, it's like, it says, "We are Māori." But somehow people have been able to get offended over a poster that says, that celebrates their indigenous culture. And so my question, and what I wanted to ask you guys this morning is, why so fragile? Why is it that when someone celebrates, someone has to be like, oh, stink? Like, you guys are like, what do you guys think about that?
We are Māori. Imagine if that sign said, "We are white," considering all of the historical connotations and things that people who claim that the white race is superior to others have done. I think that's not a good look. And also, like, bro, let's be honest, man. You're in your own country. You can scream out, how much you love being Māori. Like, I encourage you to do that. Fa'a mole mole. Please and thank yous. But yeah, let's just keep it up. Who cares about what other people think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we need to rally behind and support them to increase that funding. Because, man, I went Southern Cross growing up. The kapahaka competitions were bizarre. Like, I wasn't in the kora. I was in the bilingual part of Southern Cross. But right next door was the kora. Practices, lunch, like all the time they're practicing, and they put so much effort into their kapahaka. So it's like, I'm like glad that I got the understanding young, just seeing our Māori school next door, how much value they put into their work. And if an orchestra is getting like 3 times the amount, and the kapahaka groups can range from anywhere between 50 to 150 people, mate, 150 people, that's an orchestra.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Esta?
I might come from like probably a different angle. It's more like they only support it when it's necessary. Like for example, you can see why people love New Zealand only because they know New Zealanders for being Māori, and they do the haka, and when people do the haka, it's like, oh, and now you have like a full stage of it, and then you come to find out that it's not even being funded properly. And then you see like something that, I don't know, I don't know too much about Matatini, but it's pretty sad to hear that that's happening.
And sorry, what was it that gets funded more? Is it the ballet?
The Royal New Zealand Ballet.
And the Philharmonia.
Who even watches that? What a boring thing to watch.
Whoa. What we're not going to do here is trash Pavlova. All right?
Nah, I mean, like, come on. Yeah, I agree with you. We're on... I can't believe this is like Māori land and they're still needing to jump through 100 million hoops just to barely get funding. Versus ballet, like that's crazy to me. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I mean, no, it just shows that we still got a lot of work to do in those systems.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe some of those people who wrote those fund applications just come through and write the fund apps. For Te Matatini.
Come on, guys, join them.
And then boom. 185 million or two. Oh man,
that would be cool. But I think those same people that write those apps, they all mix in the same circles. Are the same people getting all the funding.
Can you write a funding application for me, please?
I'm
me too. Extremely poor.
Me too.
No, but I think we just need to rally behind them and support them in the small ways that they can, and hopefully that changes.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that definitely needs to be addressed as funding. But let's get into our quote of the day.
Yeah, let's get into our quote of the day.
Bring some positive vibes up in here.
Because I stole this directly from Esta's Instagram. I like it though. And we'll get your perspective on it first, Esta, but let me just read it out loud for you. To be treated well in places you don't expect to be treated well. To find things in common with people you previously had very, very little in common with. That can't be a bad thing. What sort of significance does that quote have to you, bro? Or what does it mean to you?
Could mean like many things to different people, but personally to me, I mean like, for example, in the city, you wouldn't go to certain restaurants because you feel like you're not at that level.
Yep.
So you don't go there. You go to something where you see more common of our people. That's the way I see it. It's like being able to go in there confidently and being like, I want to order something because I can, you know, and not because I'm brown and it's an issue for me to come in here. The way I see it is like, when I started working, I always chose to be like, when I applied for a job, I applied to be a packager, boxing. But I'd never ever think in my head to be like, I want to be in the office type thing. And I feel like that's a mentality that our people, or like in our areas, you know, just need to see more of, you know, like don't see yourself as like a laborer. It's okay to see yourself in the office. It's okay to see yourself as an accountant, lawyer, or creative, you know. And having a 9 to 5 isn't bad either. Because you need that to support this. No one's going to support this if you have no this. So that's just the way I saw it. It's just trying to be like, how can I find a nice quote to go with something that's so unrelatable on a picture? Because people will look at it and then look at the caption and be like, oh, really sit back and be like, damn. And the thing is that when people don't react to it, low-key people are like really feeling it. They're really feeling it when they read it. And sometimes it takes like 5 times to read it back to get a different angle, kind of like a scripture, you know? You can read one verse, but to someone else it means something else. But that's what it means to me.
Oh, mean, bro.
I like that. It's like wanting more for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. But then saying like you're wanting more for yourself, it's not looking down on, you know, on people or anything.
Nah. It's definitely because like, obviously you need people to make things work. You know, I think if Polynesians were here to do the fruit stuff, no one will be eating fruits.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to do anything, you know? They're too scared to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
You know, so as sad as it sounds, we are working people. But at the same time, like when we tap into things that are not shown to us that we can do, next level. You know, you start seeing yourself. When I got myself a job in a call center, I was like, oh crap, I'm actually on the phone saying, welcome to Vodafone, my name is Esta. You know what I mean? And I would try to put on my whitest voice. But behind that, someone's like, doesn't know, it's like this full islander. Just trying to be in the space as well.
Yeah.
So that's just trying to not limit yourself no matter where you are and what your current situation looks like. You could be like living homeless and just looking around you and be like, damn. But the situation you're in right now can change.
Yeah.
Just by one decision, whether you read that back and be like, damn, I actually can. As long as you see it for yourself, you can do it.
Yep. Man.
That's very powerful.
I got nothing else to add. That was,
Yeah.
you know, don't be afraid to enter these spaces because they can look after you. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I could have just said that. Don't be afraid to enter these spaces. I went on like this whole circle.
I like that.
It's all good. It's part of the creative part. But that was a mean quote. I hope you guys that are listening can relate to that. Dream big. Expect more outside of, you know, the usual that you think you've conditioned your mind to put yourself into, and get out there and make things happen. Good morning. We'll be right back.
Oh, stop recording.
And welcome back to our Pacific Morning Show. Today we have the amazing creative videographer who is doing some big things in New Zealand and overseas on our show, Esta. Welcome to the show, Esta. Thank you so much for your time. But we're just going to get straight into it. And we wanted to talk about your background and your upbringing. Where are you from? What was it like growing up? So I'm going to open the floor for you to tell that story.
Yep.
How was it?
Cool. My name is Esta. I'm 28. Come from South Auckland. Proud. And I came from a household of, just to paint the picture, mom, dad, mom's siblings and their kids, my own siblings, and there was more than 20 of us staying in a 3-bedroom house.
Wow.
That was owned by my mom, my dad, and her sister. And it was like struggling, but I didn't know we were struggling. At that time when you're young, you just think everything's normal until someone comes in and tells you that you're poor. You know, that's the only reason when I realized, I was like, looking around, I started seeing everyone else's things, you know. Everyone had phones before we did. Jeez. Everyone had internet before we did. And yeah, I would say it was a good childhood for me at the time because I didn't have many friends. And a lot of, you know what the parents say, don't be friends, don't make any friends, go to school and learn. You know, that's what my parents were like, your friends are your brothers and your sisters. These are the only friends that you're ever going to have. And that really stuck with me. You know, my brothers are very, very, I have 5 younger siblings who I am very tight with. And we have these kind of conversations with no cameras and we just cry it out and then we like fight each other and then we, you know, It's the best thing that I've learned from being broke, was knowing that my siblings will have my back, regardless if they think some dream is so impossible to reach. You know, sometimes you say your dream and your other brother's just doing the side eye ones there. You can't do it. But at the end of the day, they're going to support you. And that's something that I learned about from my own background. I went to Pep High, and I was a drummer. I played the drums. The only reason why I learned how to play the drums, because I was forced to play the drums.
I heard you were the drummer for Nation Mystic.
Oh, I was one gig, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm part of the Nation Mystic team. You know?
I love Nation Mystic. If they did another concert, bro, I'll be first VIP ticket, man. Straight up. I'm a Nation Mystic fan. Sorry, carry on.
No, chill. It was just a gig that I was given during high school, and when I played, you know that there's a lot of different things going on all at the same time while these things are happening. My brothers went to jail. My parents have never been to any interviews,
Right.
parent-teacher interviews. They've never. None of my siblings have ever had that. So when I hear people have parent-teacher interviews, such a trigger, you know, because I'm like, wow, you're lucky your mom got to come and see this.
Yeah.
But my mom was so busy, she had to work. You know, she had to work 2 jobs, and my mom started off as a cleaner for Air New Zealand, and she worked her way all the way to the top. So the funny thing about that is, like, people thought we were rich because we were traveling. Like, we're going Hawaii, we're going Samoa, America, but no one knew we were traveling cheap as with no money.
Yeah.
And we're going to stay with family and then going to, like, the free attractions. But the whole time we were just, like, flexing, pretending we were rich. The whole time it was just free trips, and just that's why I'm so grateful. You know, you have one part where I'm like got the luxury of traveling, and you come back home and this is reality. The reality is like no power for a couple of weeks, no water for a couple of weeks, and all at the same time. You got jail, you got people knocking on the door to come pay the bills, and that's just everything happening all at the same time. While growing up and seeing all of us lie in the kitchen, just sleep next to each other, you know? That's all happening. But we're like, us kids, we're just enjoying, you know? We think it's like a mean-ass time waking up with your brothers and your cousins, but not knowing that this is what our parents are going through.
Yeah.
You know, just struggling.
Yeah. And
our family, at the time as well, they had a family band. And it was such a really well-known band. It was called the Whatalatala. And at the time, all of us kids were young. And my older siblings, they were even part of the band. Like, they were playing the drums. My oldest brother was playing the drums. And my other brother was playing the piano. The other boys, they were, like, lifting all the equipment. It's like hard labor. And then my mom's siblings were all playing the instruments and singing. And that was, like, my introduction into music.
Right.
My family is so talented. Like, not even tooting anyone's horn. All of them can sing, and I'm just like, what did I get? What did I get?
Can you sing though?
Nah, I can't sing.
Oh, yeah.
Nah.
You know, when
Is it
people
those
sing-
humbles, like
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
humble
yeah.
ones, like can't sing? No, I can't
And then
sing.
bust
anymore.
out
Nah,
Usher.
I genuinely can't sing.
Yeah.
My siblings, though, they can sing real well. They can dance, they can do all this stuff. And when it came to me, I was kind of sitting there like, sorry, everyone can play something. And I'm like, damn, I didn't know I could play anything until my older brother went to jail because he was a drummer. So he went to jail, and before that he started prepping me because I don't know why, but he just started telling me, hey, come. And I was like, oh man. And the whole time they're savage, bro. They're like, I'm playing the drums and I'm going off. I'm not playing to the beat, and everyone's just looking at me like, you're slowing us down. The whole time they're looking, and you can hear it on the mic. My auntie's like, you're slowing the song down. And it's just embarrassing. The church is like watching it. I'm just like crying and playing. And my brother's like, and I was like, the whole time I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate my life. I hate my life. My other brother's trying to support me. He's playing the drums. He's playing the bass. And he's like, come on, man, please.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. And then eventually I started playing the drums, and I thought I was going to be a drummer. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was like a total shift from being a drummer to a videographer.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And doing that, like in between, there was a time when me and my friends in high school, we wagged school and we got caught by the cops. And the cops dragged me in. And my dad, at that very day, my brother just got released on probation. The power went out. The water went out.
Oh, how
everything went out on that day.
Did you come in ringing your bell?
And my mom was on the phone. She was like, and I was like, just listening like this. I'm like, shaking hard out because my friends were sitting there too. And their mom, they're Samoan as well. Their mom was like saying they're going to come give them a hiding. And at the same time, when they're saying that and they're smiling, the parents are smiling, talking to the teacher's like, it's okay, everything's fine. Yeah. And my mom's like smiling and saying, I'm going to give you the worst hiding, And when you translate the language from Samoan to English, it sounds very bad.
Yeah.
They say stuff like just off stuff that I just learned about it when I was probably like 18. I come around, I was like, you want to cook me in the oven? Like that kind of, like those kind of ones. And I was like, whoa, eat all the toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was just like stuff like that. They don't realize that later on, it's just like very, very bad. At the time, my mom's smiling and talking to the teacher, and she's looking at me like with her mouth pointing like this. That's where you know you're gonna die today.
Yeah.
And at that point, everything was off. So my mom sent my dad in. And my dad's very soft. He's the softest man, loving man. My mom's like the tough one.
Yep.
And I'm playing the drums for Polyfest. I'm playing the drums, boom, boom, boom. And then my brother just comes in, boom, from behind. And the drums stop. Everyone's looking. They turn around. They're like, oh, you can hear everyone's like, oh, like whispering. And I was so ashamed.
We're like, that didn't hurt.
Yeah, I was like trying to hold my anger because I was like, oh my God, another time. Another time to be embarrassed. Flip. I was standing there and my eyes are so worried and my hair's naturally curly. It was an afro at that point. And when you have hair like that, it does a certain kind of effect. Like the punch wasn't that hard. It was just like your head, when you get tackled?
Yeah.
It just looked like that from my head.
Yeah. Like
and when my brother done that, everyone just went like, oh. I was like, I was so embarrassed. And my brother was like, you think you're cool, wagging. Can't you see the power's off and everyone can hear it? Everyone can hear what's going on. And obviously, because I was playing the drums, keeping everyone from dancing, now I've completely stopped and they're listening to what's happening in the back. To the point where I was just like, oh, and the tutor came over to me and was like, are you okay? I was like, oh yeah, I can't play anymore. I was like, Mom, I have to go home. Put the drums down, everyone's like, oh, littles. They're like, yo, girls. But really, you're just like, man, you're making it worse. Yeah. You really are making it worse.
Stop looking at me.
Just let me go in peace.
Yeah, man. Everyone's like,
when they start asking questions, are you all right?
Yeah, it's when they're rubbing your back and looking at your face, looking at your face for some tears or something.
Yeah. Does it look like I'm all right?
Oh my gosh. So I'm like walking away, everyone's like, littles, see you tomorrow. I'm like, you're not going to see me anymore. Like after today.
I'm running away.
The last time.
Today.
Changing my name.
Hard out. And then after that, I came back to school the next day and I was like, wow, your brother's scary. And then like, at that time, they already knew like a history with my family.
Yeah.
Like just the family name. And it created like a kind of stigma around me and my brother who was attending that school at the time. And everyone just thought, don't mess with them. Their brothers will come.
Yep.
And one time, my first day at high school, I got jumped. I got jumped at high school from not waving at a girl that I've never met before.
What?
Yeah, I've never met this girl before. She waved to me and I didn't wave back. I was just like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know you. Yeah. Or maybe I just didn't even see her.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, what the hell? And I was walking back to class and then this girl comes up to me and she's like, why didn't you wave at me? I was thinking, is this a joke? Because I don't know you.
Yeah.
And I'm very shy. I'm a very shy person. So I wouldn't say anything until like I warm up. And I was like, was she talking to me or what the hell?
Yeah.
And she was short, like shorter than me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this girl's scary. And her brother came from behind and held me while she was like, whoa, 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 like going 100. And later on, my brothers came with their bandanas and, they came with their bandanas and everything. And they're like, who did it? Yeah. And I was like, just stop. Yeah. It was a girl. It was a girl that done this to me. And she started it. And they were like, they went back home. They went back home. And a lot of those kind of situations happened a lot.
Right.
When I got into trouble or like something was happening like that, my brothers would always come. So that was the energy that everyone would always see. Yeah. And how I have a good friend called Julius, which me and you have connection with.
Hi, Julius.
What's up, Julius? Wherever you are. And Julius was my day one guy. And his brother and my brothers were like very, very tight in high school. And we would be going through the same thing. So we clicked very quickly. And we started saying that we were bloods around the school. We thought we were bloods. And Royal Oak is like a very Tongan school where everyone was Crips. Like all the kids were
Tongans
Crips.
are there, Favona boys are there.
And it was like, it was like these two fobs going like this, doing this. They're not even in it. You know, we're not even in it. We're just doing it because our older brothers were doing it.
Yeah. And you were like 12, right? Or 13. So
I was 11 and way smaller than I was.
Yeah.
Like I am now.
Yeah.
One time my brothers came to the school. All of them came. And we had a four-way drive. There was like, I think 6 of them in the car. And they pulled up and I was like, where am I going to sit? These all came in the car. Yeah. And everyone's like waiting right over here and there's a crossing and they parked right here and they were like calling out to me to come. And I was like, think I was cool. My brother got out of the car, opened up the boot, and I went and sat in the boot.
Oh, God.
And there was like, the funny thing was like, everyone's like, Leo's G. I was like waving my hand from the back window. Going like this. They couldn't even see me. Yeah. But the whole idea of it was like, these are my older brothers, you know? Like that was the idea. These are my idols. These guys, I really looked up to them. I still do look up to them, you know, but to a certain point. In that time of my life where I was like, whoa. And then I was like, really, whoa, what's going on? You guys are all going to jail now. So yeah, that's just trying to paint a picture of what my childhood looked like. That was such a loving one there.
Yeah, for sure. Like I loved some of the points that you brought up, especially how you didn't know you were poor until you went out and someone told you were poor. Yeah. A very relatable experience. The state house experience, when you grow up in state houses, you're like having so much fun with your cousins. Sleepovers were mean, like it was a movie night, TV2, whatever they were chucking on for the night. But you've really framed for us, you know, the background that you've come from. So you've talked about a bit of your school life. What was it like when it came to finding work?
Finding work. To me, that was... I started working when I was in high school at a very young age. My brothers went to jail, and I started working at Main Freight as for work experience. And not long after that, I was offered a role to just carry on doing what I was doing, just like packaging and like putting it into the bays, and ended up getting my forklift license. By that time, I was only 15. I wasn't working legally.
Wow.
The guy, he felt sorry for me, the owner, like the CEO at the time. Yeah. His name was Dave. Shout out to Dave. He's a white man too, and he was very good to me. He saw the situation that was happening in my family. My mom came in at one point and she was like, tell him to give you a job. Like I was like, no. It's like, wait, just relax. I need to work here for 1 week first. And then I started working, and then they were like, yeah, we want you to work. Started working up until I was 17. And at that time, and you had that kind of money, I was making like, I'd say $700 a week. And I was going to school late. Because my shift would be from like 2:30. I'll leave school 2:30, pick up my siblings who are still in school, and then I'll go straight to work.
Man.
And
crazy.
that would be till 12.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I'll have to drop off everyone. and then make my way to school. By that time, it was 10 o'clock. I'll get to school and everyone's like, bro, this guy's just wagging. You know, but what's happening is that I'm trying to make money for my family.
Yeah.
So I was working there for like 2 years in high school, and I just decided to quit. One day when me and my mate, he just said to me, "Gee, keen to drink?" And then I went and I got fired from main freight because I didn't turn up to a shift.
Yeah.
So just because of that, I started learning how to be more disciplined, punctual, and just respecting opportunity when it's given. Because we don't have it easy, you know, we don't have it easy, and when it's given to us, they'll definitely look into you and see how well you do the job. And one step out of line, you're out. We're not given that grace period, like other people would. You know, they'll be like, you have a
disciplinary meeting.
Yeah, meeting. But mine was just straight fart.
Yeah.
And here's me. How do I tell my mom I'm not going to be working there anymore?
When you were working and at school, what was it like at school? Like, because you're talking about like turning up late sometimes. What were the teachers? How were they like?
I think they had given up at that point because I was already such a naughty kid, and I was like a class disruptor. Like I would just be telling a joke and not knowing when to stop.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we turn to the teacher and then everyone starts roasting the teacher. So they would already know what I am, like my character.
Right.
So they'll be like very, like, that's that one. There's no point.
No point in trying
to
discipline him.
Yeah. And I only had two teachers. There was a media teacher and a music teacher that really believed in me. And I had a music teacher. I felt like sorry for her because I was like, I'm never going to make it that far. She's like, yeah, you can do something. She was so desperate that she even got that Nisha Mystic gig for me to play in. And I played it one time and that was it. I was like, oh, it's not for me. And she was like so sad. And I had a media teacher who, even though I came to school late, she still let me come into her class even when it was my class. I'll just sit there and just muck around.
Yeah.
Until like she gave me a camera. So she gave me the camera to take photos for the school ball. I ended up stealing the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ended up stealing the camera. And she knew.
Do you still have it?
Nah, I don't know what happened to that camera.
Yeah.
Did you shoot heaps on it at least?
Yeah, I shot the school ball and then my friends in the garage, and then that's it, you know?
Yeah.
It didn't go very far before I think I sold it. I sold it. Just that whole lifestyle of getting something and then just trying to have it. Like, it's not even yours. And here you are, like, taking advantage of something that someone's given to you, and here you are playing around with it.
Can I just say this, like, the hood mindset, though?
Exactly.
There's no PhD thesis written on that, but it's like the hood mindset is very dangerous in a sense that it's reacting out of some people are always going to take from you because you've always been at the bottom.
Yep.
So before they take from you, you got to take from them first. So I can understand why that was, you know, just considering the story you told us about your background, why you adapted that mindset and why you're behaving in certain ways.
Yep.
Because in the hood, it's like, nah, I've got to take before they take from me.
Yeah. It's always that standover mindset.
Yeah.
Like, you could walk down Otara at this time. I'm not sure if it happens now, but I would walk home from Pap to my grandma's house in Otara. And she would I got stood over for my phone. Like, someone just came up to me and was like, give me a phone. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, I just gave it.
Yeah.
Knowing that my brother's going to come find you.
Right.
It's just that mindset. It's like, and I started playing around with it. I was like, you know, you watch this. My older brother, and I'm the smallest one. My brothers are like huge. They look like huge island men, like really, really big men.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were all coming. The guy was that took off my phone. He got caught. My other brother went and done something. Got my phone back, gave it back to me, and I went I went around telling the story like, yo, my friend, I stood over for my friend. And here's me thinking this is cool.
Yes.
You know, and I start talking about it and then encourage the image of these kids will never change. No matter how hard you try, they'll never change.
Especially when they're seeing that we're taking pride in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When they see that, oh, they're prideful, it's going to be harder to convince the teacher or whoever, the social worker, to even believe in us.
Yeah.
And then it makes their job even harder.
Yeah.
What was it like, because you were working full-time and also going to school, like at a really, like in the crucial years of your schooling? Because was that like NCA level 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like most students, when they're like studying and working towards that, they're just, when they hit NCA level 1, they're like, oh, we need to focus now. We're in those like final years of trying to get uni entrance. Yeah, did the teachers know that you were working like full time pretty much, as well as studying, as well as schooling?
I don't think so. I don't think they knew I was. Only the careers people would know.
Would know.
Because they're the reason how I got into mainframe.
Right.
But I'm not sure if they shared that information to teachers, and plus the limit for me to work was only up until like 9:30. But I needed money. You know?
Yeah.
My family needed money, and I would work way past. Way past that time.
So were you like using that to support your family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. We'll be traveling. Like it's just like small money. It was like trying to drive to the prison every weekend. That was
see family.
See my brothers, and they're in 2 different places. One was in Paramoremo, the other one's in Spring Hill. So that's like one going towards Wellington and one going towards Hamilton. And so my mom will go this side, and sometimes my dad will go the other side. So yeah, just trying to make ends meet.
Can I just say that's like honestly so admirable, like that work ethic of you working to support your family, like that's so beautiful, as well as like going to school to also try and like you could have just dropped out of school. I don't know how you did both. Like that's incredible. And I think if the teachers at the time knew that you were doing both, I think they definitely would have reacted differently.
Exactly.
And would have treated you differently. Yeah. That's why teachers should know that not everyone, like if students are playing up and if you were like being disruptive, I think that was more of a teachers should realize that there's other things that happen outside of school.
Absolutely.
Like in homes and stuff. Yeah. So I think that's so cool. Just wanted to like,
I appreciate it.
And instead of it like being a sign that, oh, I'm going to give up, and then it should have been a sign that the person needs further help.
Yeah. Or there's something going on in your life at home. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed, like when I was young, it was more like getting attention for people to love me. And that's what some people don't want to admit, you know, like saying, especially the boys, you know, it's like one thing, like you don't want to tell someone, oh, can you just give me a hug? And not tell me off.
We can't say that.
Yeah, you can't.
Can't say that out loud.
And it's very hard. And like sometimes it's like you don't want to be a burden on people. And because you think you're already the provider, you're like trying to uphold this thing without showing people like, damn, I'm struggling. I'm this.
It's all that
like,
pressure that builds up.
It's that pressure. And sometimes it's hard to explain to your parents because they never got that. I always say it's a luxury to be depressed, because for us, we can't sit there and be sad. We have to figure out a solution fast.
Things happen fast. Like
things happen very fast.
Held back. That's so true. And then like you could have processed one family event that went down really badly. Then the next day something else happens, and it's like, okay, I'm used to this now.
And sometimes what was happening in my life at the time was like, people thought it was like a story I was making up.
Right.
Because it was like one thing after the other. You know, it was one thing after the other. Your house, you always say your car broke down. You always say your power broke. It's like, gee, because it happened.
And then they think you're a liar. And
teachers are like, why did you come late? And you're like, I honestly had to go and move the car, and then the car broke down. Now it blocked everyone in. Like just stories like that. And the teacher's just like, yeah, okay. It was more like that.
Like they don't believe. Yeah, I feel you on that. But like all those like things that happen are like all due to like not having enough money, right? So it's like your car broke down, like all these things. Whoa. And then you have to go through like a different avenue to sort that out. Because if you had money, you would have just paid for like AA or something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we don't have, I mean, that's so cool. Yeah, what a cool point to bring up.
And it was more like the process where I learned from my mom. She, obviously, when you have the money, you'd head up wins. And for me, I started seeing my mom do that a lot. Yeah. She'll turn up like face to face, and she's such a, I would say she's very, very strong. Very, very strong personality, and her character is very, very, I don't know how to, people would know her for being like, but at the same time know her for being like loving as well.
Yeah.
Because we could have
like tough love.
Yeah, tough, very, very
old
tough
school
love.
Tough love.
Yeah. When I told her I want to be a videographer, she was like, that's not going to make any money.
Yeah.
Why? What a waste.
Yeah.
Go uni. But like people react, in my personal opinion, I've never been to uni before. And I've never studied ever, apart from high school, was when, like when you say something, I saw something actually, where people celebrate when you get a loan to get approved to a school, to a uni. People celebrate that. And they're like, yay, I'm like, when you really break it down, yay, I'm literally $100,000 in debt.
Actuals.
And then, but when someone says, I've just invested $500 into my personal business.
It's such a different
People
attitude.
are like, oh, better be careful, there's a scam. Or like, be careful, this is this. Be careful, you can't make it that far with this because people are this. And then they come up with all these excuses, and it literally brings myself as a creative, now that I see myself like that, when someone said that to me, I was like, man, this is why we're here. This is why we're still down here.
Yeah, we're still in that mindset.
Yeah.
That needs to change a lot. But thank you so much. The episode's not done. We've got more to talk about, but we're just going to go into a quick break. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Back, everyone. Welcome. What are you looking at me like that for? Gosh. Hi, Esta. How are you, you beautiful man? What are some of the more challenging things that you're doing now as an artist, from like your previous life and like just in contrast to now?
Own it.
I'd say just meeting commercial criterias now.
Yeah.
Is probably very, very challenging, but I can see how it upskills myself, like, and how I enter different rooms.
Yeah.
Because I think from before, I was just creating with just my own ideas, and you think it's mean as, but to someone else, it's like stink. But because it's a brand now that I'm working for, it's like everything's got to be real good.
Yeah.
High quality, everything. And sometimes your creative input isn't accepted because it's not aligning with the brand.
Could you tell us a bit about the brand that you're working for and the cool things that you do for them?
I currently work for Hallensteins brothers, and I do all the video content and photo shoots for e-com and all of that cool stuff. It looks glamorous, but it's really not. It's really hard, but I guess if you put in the work, you start to enjoy the other stuff that comes with a job, which is like traveling for free. Like the trip that's coming up right now is going to LA, and being able to go with a company. Like ages ago, I put up an Instagram story saying, one day, when your career and your dream comes together, one day that's gonna happen. That's what I wrote on my Instagram. And when it happened, and they said I'm gonna be traveling. Now I've traveled back and forth from Australia and here. It's just crazy to be like telling someone that I love, like, I'm going to LA now.
Yo.
It's not like probably like I'm going for a mean as big shoot. Yeah. But a small person from South Auckland saying, a company is paying for them, for their skill to go here and do it
huge.
is like, for me personally, that was like one of the biggest achievements.
Would your 14-year-old self be like, within your wildest dreams, could your 14-year-old self be like, wait, what? That's me? That's me in the future?
Yeah.
You know, like just thinking back to how you like came up and like you're not, you know, you're like, bro, like the trajectory of my life could have been completely different, you know?
Sure.
Yep. It was like my 14-year-old self already saw where I wanted to be, but it was always very far.
Yeah.
And you just be like, I want to be a millionaire. This is what I want, but I'll never say out loud. I'll be like, this is what I want. You know what I mean? This is what I really want. But I'm going to tell these people, nah, I'll just see where I can go and this and this and this. I'm happy with anything. And I think that's where our people kind of just limit ourselves. Like, I'm happy with it. They start being content with where they're at now, and then that's their limitation. They don't like to see any further because it looks like it's too far.
Yeah.
And like from my 14-year-old self, I think I would be like, how did you go there?
Yeah.
Who did you
Your
go steal this from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my mindset back then would be like, if my brother owned a gym, I'd be like, drugs, gang money. You know what I mean? It would just be like that straight away. My mindset would be like that. So for me to be like, someone's telling me, how did you get there? Like, what did you do to get there? And I think that some people miss that processing part of like, how did you get there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's really looking at how did you get there.
Yeah.
But it's like, damn, I had to fight. I had to take myself out of South Auckland just because my environment was so hard to look at. My environment was a garage with all my papers, with my ideas, but then it would only stay in the garage because this is what I was seeing. Just like the garage walls and nothing else. And I didn't leave South Auckland much because I would be like, nah, cities for all those Afakasi Palangi ones. You know what I mean? That's the mindset. And all those uni students, that's all they do. They go there and they drink and stuff, and I want to focus. But not knowing that sometimes you do have to change your environment. And that could include cancelling your friends and just not even talking to them anymore. Because at that point, you start to evaluate who's actually bringing you value.
And value is so important, right?
Value is very important. Value is like, to me, is like someone being loyal to me without receiving anything back. And I felt like that was me. I felt like I was being loyal to a lot of people, but no one was giving the value back. So I was like, sweet.
And reciprocation is part of healthy relationships.
Yeah.
Like it's part of it. There's no such thing as like
give and
one
take.
person. Yeah, give and take. So totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's like, no offense to my friends back then. I still keep in touch with them. But it's just like a different, not even looking down on them. It's just like we have different lifestyles now. And it's okay if you want something better. Like everyone will be like, what I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's like what I want to be. But really, you're like, damn, I'm looking at my family, bro. Like my family comes from here. And to take them somewhere where we're like going on a holiday, like just, for example, Macca's was a privilege. You know, it was like once a month kind of thing where you'll be like, damn, my dad's going to get paid today. We're all going to go Macca's. And being able now, just that small little thing is like, I can just buy Macca's whenever I want. You know, and that little bit of value to me is a lot. You know, and from looking back then to now, it's like, damn, I've created a value for myself because I start to value everything around me.
Yes.
Value the things that I worked hard for. You start to realize like, damn, your parents were right. Look after the house. It's not even ours, but it's
clean
like
it up.
people will look at it and be like, respectable. They'll be like, these guys actually look after, even though it's not their thing. They don't own it. They're renting. But once you take care of it and the space, you start creating those little habits. I started watching this guy on YouTube and he'll dress up and I'll be like, that's pretty sus. Why are you dressing up like that? But it comes with, you know, the lifestyle. Once you get something, for example, you make some certain amount, you don't see a millionaire person like acting a certain way. You know, they're very work-based, professional, and I wanted to be like that. I wanted people to take me seriously. And in order to do that, sometimes you got to say no to a lot of people.
Yeah.
For them to be like, hey, aren't you the yes guy? You'll say yes to anything. You're keen for anything. I'm like, no, I'm not keen anymore.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that. And a lot of individual talk. You know how you were saying like you talk to your dog?
Yeah.
Was that on camera or off camera?
Yeah. I used to talk a lot to myself to a point where I would say something and I started building confidence because I was like, I didn't know at the time that it was called affirmations.
Yeah.
Where there was one point where I just sat in front of the mirror, I just like crying. I was just like bawling my eyes. I was like, what the hell am I doing? And I literally looked at the mirror and I was like, I was even just by myself. Look at the mirror, I just didn't even want to look at myself saying like, I love you to myself. And just that one little bit was like changing for me. Even though it didn't change straight away. I was like, man, I love myself. Straight away, I wasn't like, but it took every day for me to write everything to be like, this is what I want. And this is the steps that I have to take to get here. And it was just more of that. Yeah.
I like that you emphasized on environment because I feel like that's something that should be driven more. Like, for example, like plants. They don't grow on like in a place that has no sun, water, and air. Do you know what I mean? You place a plant in where soil is, good sun, it'll grow. Yeah. So I'm very like, I think people need to understand that part more because it's the same as our bodies. Like we need certain things. We need love, like the human needs, and we need our own mental well-being, like support, like the affirmations you were talking about. Yep. But I think it's important, environment. And it's hard when you're born and raised in South Auckland. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Or just any kind of place like that. Like I didn't know out west was a thing. I didn't even know West Auckland was a thing. I thought it was just South Auckland and then the city.
Yeah, because West Auckland's irrelevant. I'm kidding.
Yeah, and I just thought like, that's it. You know what I mean? I didn't even know there was like West Auckland people that acted like the way I was acting. Yeah. I thought it was just South Auckland all the way. Otawa,
me too.
Mangere.
And GI as well. I didn't know that was a thing till later.
Yeah, I didn't know these places existed in terms of like thinking to be the hood. I didn't know there was those kind of places in other areas in Auckland. I thought South Auckland, that's how like how much I didn't listen in school. So I didn't know about the south, east, west. I just thought it was straight south.
It's just, well,
I thought it was just straight south.
Tunnel vision, you know?
Yeah.
You're kind of like, all I could see is this.
Yep.
And this is all I know.
Yep.
You know, why am I going to try and expand and find out that other people are having the same struggles as I am if it's not going to help me in any way? So I completely understand when, you know, when some people are like, bro, I didn't know you were struggling with the same, you know, especially with men. You know, like, we'll be like, if I open up my feelings about something that's going on, you don't know that, you know, the other guy is thinking of this, like, going through the same struggles. Might be different situations and stuff like that, but, you know, sometimes it just gets like that. Your tunnel vision is just like, you're just so focused on your own surroundings, or your own surroundings are limiting you. That, you know, when you do break out of there and you're like, there's a whole wide world here. Whoa. Oh, wow. KFC from somewhere else tastes exactly the same.
Sometimes it's that thing is like, there's a saying that I thought I made it up, but then someone else said it. And I was like, oh, we have the same idea. It was like the sometimes you're in your own way. You know, sometimes your ego is so big that you're in your own way, stopping your own opportunities, pushing away the people that really care about you, and trying, sometimes even their feedback, I was really good with that. My mom is probably the number one feedback king A. Not even the queen G, the king at feedback. And it's the feedback with the arms doing this. Like, they do this, you know, and it all starts from, I'm pretty sure we could all relate. It's like Sunday school or something like that, where you have to learn something and then the feedback comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Make them believe you love Jesus. You know what I mean? And that's, yeah.
I thought it was really interesting listening to you speak. Your journey is incredible, but now that you're in the commercial space, I think that's so cool, and I also think that it must come with like a lot of, I mean, before entering the commercial space, a lot of like challenging conversations around value, with yourself, like as in like, how did you, at what point did you, because you would have had to make like a massive transition into understanding like your worth in terms of like, how did that work? I'm so interested in that, like especially in commercial world.
Coming from, if you're like a freelancer, right, you don't know what to tell people when they're like, how much is your hourly rate? And you're just like,
it depends.
You start creating these avenues to be like, oh, what's your budget? You know what I mean? Like all these type of hard things that also become an obstacle from you being where you want to be. And when I have a really good friend, she passed away, and she told me, she was like, if you don't tell someone your value, they will tell you. And I was like, oh snap, my head just went, oh snap. But still, I don't know how to price my stuff. I still don't know. So I started asking other videographers, and they were also, even when I asked other videographers, they would be like kind of standoffish. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Why is everyone like this? You start, and then I got to this this job, and this girl goes like this to me. She'll be like, I'll pay anything. And I just made up a rate. And then she paid it. And I was like, I actually started breaking it down, calculating. As a videographer, if there's any videographers out there, you know how hard it is to be like, if someone doesn't give you a reference of something that they want, you don't know what they're expecting. So I kind of gave it to her, and then she was like happy with the video, but then she had feedback, and I was like kind of scared of that too. They're like, why is it cutting off on her head? Like just simple things like that. I was like, oh man, retract. Like I'm never gonna do that again. And once I like kind of built my portfolio and just kind of just created my own, just started working, you know, sometimes you get to, in the beginning, you have to earn your stripes. You have to do free work. Otherwise, no one's going to be keen to refer you, you know? And that's one of the key things that I've learned is like, just probably be selective of the free work you want to do. Make sure it aligns with who you are and everything that you want to get into that space. And then people start referring you. And that's something that that's how I got my job at Hallensteins. Someone called Pella Bell, he's the man, photographer as well. And he's a real good commercial photographer. He does a lot of stuff for Vogue as well, like crazy. Wow. He called me up and he was like, hey man, do you want this role? Yeah, they're looking for someone. And the role was like a really high role, really high value paying. And I was just like, oh, damn. That's where I caught myself. I was like, what, you think you're not at that level yet? After doing all these years of free stuff and working your butt off to be like, nah, don't. That's corny, you know? Then, bro, don't shoot yourself before you even give yourself the opportunity to take it. And funny enough, I was laughing out of the interview because I got a call straight away, said I got the job, and I was like, oh my God. I was sitting there, called my mate Julius, and I was like, gee, I got the job. And we were just laughing, so we're like, just 2 fobs. Two fobs in South Auckland, you know, and look at where we are now. It's not the top, you know, it's not there, but we're going there, you know? And for someone, if I was at the age in high school and I saw someone that looks like me, that was tatted up and is doing something completely out of character, I would be like, whoa, you know? And I feel like that's where I'm at now. I just want to be like, man, you can do it. And the only way I can do that is like probably through video and just like captions. You know, just the smallest everyone's it's like 3 seconds to try and get someone's attention.
Yeah.
And if the first line punches, man, everyone's like clicking. They're like clicking so hard on it. And it becomes something where some kid, there's only guys that hit me up and they're like, bro, thanks for sharing that message. And for me, it's very, very heartwarming because I don't know what they're going through. Could have been suicide, could have been anything. But just like that one thing that they saw that this kid from South Auckland is now here doing this thing and traveling, that's like, whoa, I can do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
cool. Thank you. Because I the understanding the value thing, like that's a hard thing that a lot of people try to like work through, or like Pacific people as like freelancers, creatives, like it's a weird conversation to have.
It's because just from me personally,
Yeah.
I call it this. Sorry, like if I had my bow here, I'd get a big ding right now. But I call it toxic humility.
Yeah.
Like, we were so used to just, I'm just gonna be humble. I'm not gonna toot my horn. Oh, how much do you think it's worth? Man, that reminds, like, what is it? That reminds me of like the first time I was trying to land one of my biggest contracts at the time. And a friend of mine, I gave him my rate, and the competing rates were from other bigger organizations. And I sent him mine. And I also sent through my draft of the example of work that I wanted to do. And you were like, bro, you're blowing out all of these like 10 plus year professional graphic designers, and you kind of only do this on the side, and you're charging us less than quarter of what these guys will be charging us. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then he was like, nah, we like your work and we're going to kick it up. And I was like, oh, yo.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and you're absolutely right. Like if you don't know your own value, other people will dictate your value to you.
Yeah.
So it's time to, sometimes you just got to sit down and be, you know what? If I'm like $500 for a day of my work, like that's cool. If you get to a certain point where, what is it? I heard there was this rumor back in the day that if Bill Gates dropped $100, it'd be a waste of his time to bend over and pick it up. Like if you want to know what the value of your time is,
Yeah.
So not saying everyone's gonna be Bill Gates, but
that's like the biggest like action of self-love though, where it's like knowing your value and saying no when you need to, and like I love that. Thank you guys for sharing.
Can I just ask you one thing?
Yeah.
What was the major turning point for you? Can you talk to us about your experience out in the wilderness? That kind of
outward bound.
Yeah. That because you said earlier when we were talking off camera that was a major turning point for you.
Yeah, outward bound was something that I went to from WINS, Work and Income. They told me, go here, you've been naughty, and this will help discipline you. And here I am, like free holiday, there, and they're like, no phones for a month. You gotta train every day to, you gotta prepare yourself for like what's gonna happen out there. And here I am hearing hiking for the first time, tramping for the first time, solo nights for the first time. And for someone who comes from a really big family, to sleep next to my siblings every day and then sleeping next to no one was probably like shame.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Your mom's not here, your dad's not here. What are you going to do? And that the thing that I took away from the whole outward bound experience was I learned that I always gave up. Like, it's like some very sad truths that just come up. It's like you always give up when it gets hard. Yeah. You start to run away when things get hard. You don't listen. You don't pay attention. It's just all these things that came back to me personally that I was like, whoa, here I am thinking I know everything, because of this mindset that I had. And I've put somewhere in where I can't apply that mindset. I was put into the middle of the jungle, like out in the South Island. And the solo night we did, it was like a 7-day solo night, was when I really learned everything. It was like when the experience was coming to an end, and this was the last week, and I had time to myself, and that's when the self-talk started talking.
Yeah.
I just talk to myself and be like, gee, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in your life? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That was one of the questions that the tutors asked. And I legit sat there and I was like, I actually don't know. I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what skills I have. And no one believed in me enough to be like, you're good at that. You have a good eye for that.
Yeah.
And I started realizing all these things. And the biggest turning point was when I realized I don't listen. Like, I'm so quick to defend and not back it up. So I was like finding out that everything that everyone's tried to teach me is because of ego, pride, and all of these things need to come down. And I had a whole humiliation session at Outward Bound. I was put in such an uncomfortable place.
Yeah.
And I can't hide behind anyone because I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
I didn't know all these people that was being put together. Some of them were business people, business owners, and majority of them were white people. And changing my environment was probably the best turning point.
Yeah.
When I realized came back to South Auckland. Obviously the habits come back when you've been in that situation, and your environment's still the same. I finally decided that I will leave home.
Wow.
And in the Polynesian culture, it's like, you don't do that until you're married.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't do that until you're like up here, or it never happens.
Yeah.
And when I done that, my mom was very, very sad. It was like the biggest disappointment for everyone, because I was the only one who left home, not married, haven't succeeded or anything, haven't done anything. And yeah, I just had to do it. I just had to disappoint at that moment.
Yeah.
For them to be like, believe in the now. Because right now, my mom and dad would be like, yeah, that's Esta's work, right now. They're like, but at the time, I was trying to tell them, I was like, just trust me. Just trust me. This is what I want. And sometimes you're going to get the saddest talk. And that's what I got. I got the, you don't listen. This is against like our family. And sometimes it feels like you're challenging the world. Yeah. And cultural beliefs.
Yeah.
I didn't go to church. My parents are pastors.
Yeah.
And that was probably the worst. I was a drummer of the church. And just those things were the biggest hurdle for me to jump over in order to get to where I am now. And I would say that was the most challenging, is telling your family. Because sometimes your family, the worst ones, they could be the worst critics.
Yeah.
Especially when you think you need support. And from other families, it would be like, hey, Timmy, go do what you want. This is the world's your oyster. And you have our parents who was like, you stay here, go work, go sleep, come home. You know what I mean?
This is your oyster.
Yeah. It's like, this is your life. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
And you make the money, come back, and, that's just what they know.
Yeah.
And I had to push the boundaries a little bit, make them sad for a little bit in order for me to be here. And, now they're like, all the kids are like getting the nice treatment. Yeah. The younger siblings, they're like, do what you want. Go on, live your dreams,
Thank you, Esta, for
paving the way.
While you're like this, like holding back your tears, and you're like, hey, what about me?
That would have been emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very emotional. Especially when they're all crying. Like my mom and dad, my dad's just like sitting there like sad ass. And my mom's like crying. And she's like, why are you doing this to us? Like, there's 10,000 other kids in this house. Yeah. Like, can you put the energy into them?
Yeah.
And here I am trying to make something. And it was hard. Yeah. Especially your family is the hardest, because for Polynesian people, that's our core.
Yeah.
And that's the main drive as a family. You're trying to support your family, but your family's telling you no. So sometimes you have to break some hearts.
Amen.
You know?
You gotta, that's how you gotta leave the nest in order to learn how to fly, bro.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
Yeah, you're doing so well.
Thank you so much.
Honestly, I'm always so amazed when we have conversations. This is amazing. And people are able to see the contrast being raised in the hood to what we can achieve.
Yeah.
And I think the stories you shared with us today is honestly very heart-touching. And we're so thankful that you've given us the time to share with us your stories. It's going to add so much value. I wish when I was 14, I heard stories like yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wish I could open my phone and go into a podcast and be like 50 different Pacific Islanders doing great things. But when I was 14, I was watching SpongeBob on TV, on TVT after school. And all I know was...
SpongeBob is valid.
I love SpongeBob. But all I knew what he was saying. The tunnel vision. You only know what you know. And now, like, you guys are all amazing people. You saw Therese. We're in these spaces and we're learning these new things. And I think your story is just so valuable. But thank you so much, Esta, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Esta.
Hopefully not the last day. We got some more episodes on the way. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Nah,
He's like, I'm going to get you off this. Nah, thank you so much, Esta. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back one more time today. Unfortunately, it is our last show with the amazing young Miss Therese Laulu here to my right. She's found an amazing opportunity. And unfortunately, sometimes you can't split
Absolutely.
your focus between two different things when you gotta commit to here and commit to there. And yeah, kind of sad to see you go, but how dare you? But I'm so proud of you, Therese, and yeah, I just wish you all the best. And I can't even say what the project is. We're not allowed.
Yeah.
But it's something cool.
Something super cool.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was heartbroken when you told me. And I know, I love it. We've been friends for we're going on to 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I never want to be the type of person to block you from embracing the opportunities presented to you and providing for your family as well. So we're ultra proud of you and we want you to fly graciously like a dove.
Oh, guys. You know that I love you both. And I've known you both for a really long time. I've known you for almost 10 years. Worst 10 years of my life. And I've known kind of like you said for 5 years, and we've been really good friends even before this podcast. And so I'm really grateful that you guys always see me and support me and always want the best for me, even if that means that we can't work together. And
Amen.
I want to miss you guys and miss seeing you guys all the time. And talking in the group chat at stupid hours in the morning.
I know, with the randomest ideas and things. Yeah.
But honestly, this is thank you for believing in my dreams and also playing a massive part in those dreams. By supporting me. And honestly, you guys both have played such a huge part in my journey as a creative, whatever that means. And I'm really blessed to have you guys both in my life and as friends.
Stop it. I'm proud of you.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Thank you.
And just in saying that, just in saying that, any last words to our Pacific Morning Show? This is not the last time I'm going to get her on as a guest when her project unfolds. Yeah. You guys will be in the loop with that. So any last words, my sis?
This is
no pressure.
The pressure is getting worse.
I have no last words. I think yeah, well, like what Esta said, I'm trying this thing called the power of one. You know, like when you're like focusing on one thing. I honestly have, my mind is blank. I've got no words to give.
Nah, that's my fault. I put you on the spot.
But just really quick, briefly, just thank you to everyone that's been watching the show, that's been supporting, that's been liking, all my family and friends. Thank you for sharing, even if you haven't watched it, but just because that's me. Thank you for your love and support. Yeah, and I'm really grateful to everyone else who's been tuning in. Yeah,
Amazing.
It's been a beautiful journey.
Thank you, Therese. We wish you all the best on your journey, and let's do our last good morning together, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Guten Tag, good morning. Good morning, Pacific, good morning.